Hi, it's Elisa, half Asian Tarot Queen, and I'm back for another reading. I've really been on a roll with this, one of my favorite decks, the Mystical Shaman Oracle lately, so I'm going to pull that one out. And I was thinking that today I was going to do a reading where specifically sort of tuning into the energy of the Divine Feminine, because about a week or so ago I did a reading. I had this, well, there was a sort of triggering event that happened with the story of Selena Gomez, which I had this dream about her when I first started doing the Divine Feminine readings a while ago, and so there's just been a number of weird coincidences around that, and so and her story seems to be kind of embodying the energy of the Divine Feminine at the moment. So she's kind of like a signpost for me, in a way, about that energy. And it's interesting because you know, she's got this, her own personal issue that's unfolding, and at the moment that I did the reading like a week or so ago, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this big truth that's surfacing for her and her story. And that energy has actually been coming up a lot, just in all the threads, just around New Year's, and people coming into alignment with you know, who they want to be, and truths being told. But in that specific case, it was kind of unintentional, but had like really karmic ramifications for her. And so it triggered me to do this Divine Feminine reading, and then I ended up having this really powerful reading around that. And it's interesting because since that time, it seems like there's been like a shift in the collective consciousness. Because I know that when, you know, she's gotten entangled, you know, at least in the collective consciousness, into a drama around, you know, her, a masculine, and, you know, a karmic partner. And so it seems like when that whole issue first unfolded, you know, there was a lot of negativity about her in the collective consciousness. But at that moment, when I did the reading a week ago, it seemed like there was it triggered some sort of shift where the tables kind of turned. You know, I mean, that's kind of what triggered me to do the reading. Like, I just had an intuition that that's kind of what was going to unfold. And it seems like that is unfolding, or, you know, that's kind of what I've gathered since then. So I'm just kind of wanting to check in and see where it is now, because it seems like, yeah, there has been like a table turning event, and so it's just interesting to see what the evolution has been since then. So I'm pulling, for whatever reason, I was compelled to pull some extra cards, so I've got extra. So we've got, on the bottom of the deck, we have Wild Woman, and then we have the Witness, the Arrow, and the Rainbow. Okay, so this is pretty cool because not only do these cards go together really, really beautifully, but even just like, I love it when they, you know, visually even go together, you know, like, it's just this like really beautiful sequence, you know, how they line up. But the message also is like really powerful. So, okay, so starting with the Witness. So we have, this is just kind of, if you're looking at the readings that have come up since, particularly Sorry. If you've been watching the videos, like there tends to be like interruptions lately. Like my mom, she's really into interruptions, so don't mind me. But anyways, back to this witness. So this is a card of, I was talking about with all the readings from the new year, and especially with the eclipse and the wolf moon, there's been like a lot of messages around coming into an alignment and an empowerment and a ascension that's happening from coming into this alignment. And so this card kind of speaks to that, where it's just sort of like when you are in alignment and you become like a witness, you know, and so it's just like your power isn't from taking an active role and engaging a situation, which is interesting because this was a total message that came through in the really powerful Divine Feminine reading that I was talking about. It's more, your power comes from stillness, you know, and so it's just like when you're in alignment, your truth and like your intention is going to be felt, you know, whether you're taking an active role or not. And actually, it kind of encourages you to not sort of try to take a controlling role in a situation, but rather to stand back and be witness to it and be still with it. Because if you're in alignment, you're in your power, like your arrow is going to hit the mark. So that's kind of what this card is all about. It's just sort of like you're just in your flow and you're going to act in accordance with that. And when you're in that state, you know, you're ultimately powerful because you're in alignment with the universe. So it's just sort of like your intention will be felt, and you'll know when your moment is, and you know, you'll take it, you know, which is funny because the reading from yesterday was all about that. It's like, it's your moment. It's time to take your moment, you know. And then this, the rainbow is just sort of like kind of confirming that, you know, like your all of your chakras are in alignment. You're in your power. It like seems like nothing's really happening, but actually something big is about to happen. You know, it's like it's always darkest before the dawn, but like there's going to be some event that's going to happen that's going to shift everything. And it's not going to be because, you know, like you took an active role or you tried to control the situation. It's basically just going to be because you're in alignment, you know. And so you have like the universe behind you, you know, which is kind of what this card talks about. So this is the Wild Woman. So it's just sort of like a card of like ultimate freedom, and you're like being called from the universe to like just express your unique gift to the world because this is your moment, you know. It's like, you know, they talk about how everyone has like 15 minutes of fame or whatever. And so it's just sort of like, this is your moment, you know. And so it's interesting because like this whole, I keep drawing this analogy to Selena Gomez because for whatever reason she showed up in my dream. And, you know, last week this truth surfaced, and it sort of unearthed the struggle that she had been carrying for some time. And like she had been sort of judged about it. But rather than engaging the conflict, she just, you know, withdrew, focused on herself, healed herself. And then she kind of came into her power, you know. And so it's like now she's like put out this record, and it's being really well received, and it's kind of like a game changer for her, you know, because it's her moment, because she's in alignment, and because, you know, she's just putting her truth out there with a certain grace and like a flow, you know, because she's just in her moment. And so it's just like her arrow is going to hit the mark, you know. And so that's kind of the overall message, which is a really beautiful message. It's like it's time, you know. And you know, for the larger situation of the divine feminine, it's like you know, like when you have these divine relationships, it's like it's not all about, you know, being together. It's about like learning karmic lessons from each other, and sometimes that requires being separate, you know. And so but when you can just sort of let go of your need to control the outcome and just like be in alignment with the lesson, you know, these magical events will unfold. And so it's almost like there's a gift that's about to be revealed, be it the lesson, or your divine partner can be like a mirror for you, you know, to shine some lesson that you need to unlock with yourself in order to ascend to the next level of your life, you know. So it can be a really healing experience if you're open to that and not so much attached to an outcome, you know, and you're just like in the flow of it. It can be a beautiful human experience, you know. So I am pulling some cards from the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot, and to just get some overall energies for the reading. So on the bottom of the deck we have the Page of Wands. So this can be like a new spark or a message of inspiration that's coming through. And it's interesting because the 3 cards that fell out while I was talking, it kind of speaks to what I was talking about when I was shuffling. We got the 3 of Swords, so this is a card of heartbreak, you know, and it's sort of like I was talking about how, you know, sometimes in divine partnerships, like you aren't together. There's like a separation. There's a heartbreak that happens there, which happens when you kind of get attached to outcomes, you know, and then whatever attachment you have to an outcome, it doesn't happen, and then you get heartbroken by that, you know, because it's like you wanted it to be something else, but like, and so you can get, we got this 2 of Swords, which is like a stalemate where you're just like sort of stuck and you're like not really moving, because it's like you don't want to accept the lesson that comes from this heartbreak, you know, because you wanted it to be this certain outcome, you know. And so it's like, as long as you're holding on to that, as long as you have an attachment to that outcome, like you're not learning the lesson, you know. But and so that's the thing that's really difficult for people to like move through, like that stuck energy, because it's like you wanted it to be this, you know, and it's not, you know. And people can be stuck in this energy for a long time, you know. It can be this stalemate, but really the healing comes when you can let that go, you know, and when you can have temperance, when you can heal your mind and let go of that attachment, so that that kind of puts you in your power, where you're an alchemist, where you can you know, manifest outcomes. But you know, you have to let go of your attachment to them, and come to this balanced state. And then in doing that, you know, that's when you get the gift. Like that's when you get the surprise that you weren't expecting, you know, which that's kind of what this is, you know. It's a new inspiration. So really interesting. I'm pulling from my Asian Rider-Waite deck with the magical varnish. Oh, I'm gonna just pull some cards to get some energies about how we're gonna move through all this situation. But it seems like this is really speaking to the lesson, which is just sort of like, you know, as long as you're trying to control a situation and you're trying to make it whatever your fantasy is, you know, and you're hanging on to that, like you're hanging on to the fantasy. It's almost like you're hanging on to an attachment, or you're hanging on to the devil. As long as you're hanging on to that, like, your arrow isn't going to hit the mark. Like, you're not going to get what you want, because really, in order to get there, you have to, like, let go of that attachment, and you have to be the witness, you know. You have to come into alignment with all that is. And then it might not work out to be whatever your fantasy was, but it'll work out to be maybe something that surpasses that, like where you'll reach ultimate happiness, because you're in alignment with who you're meant to be and who you truly are, you know, which sometimes can be different than whatever fantasy that you have an attachment to, because really an attachment to a fantasy is like basically the devil card incarnate, you know, which is funny because that was the card that was at the bottom of the deck, and I should have shown it to you, but I didn't. Anyways, I'm going to pull a couple more cards just to see where this is going, but it's interesting. It seems like, you know, it's almost like the Divine Feminine has like pulled back, done all this work on herself, and like it's starting to pay off in this beautiful way, you know, where like these magical outcomes are starting to unfold. So, you know, that's a good thing. Okay. Oh, whoa. So yeah, on the bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which this is a card that really resonates with a thread called Dynasty, which is the, you know, it's like marriage, you know, abundance, like it's a whole family structure, but, you know, with that's super stable, that can sustain, like, you know, generational wealth almost, you know, like it's a dynasty. And there's a whole thread about that, you know, so it's interesting because there has been this intersection with like, it's like the epic love saga, the dynasty thread, the Divine Feminine have been circling around these intersecting storylines lately, which is really interesting. And then we have the Nine of Cups, which is a wish card. It's a card of a wish coming true. And this is really interesting because this was in yesterday's reading, and it was super prominent in the Wolf Moon Aftermath reading as well. So somebody's wishes are coming true, which is funny because it's like that fell right under this heartbreak card. And then we have the Empress, which is an ultimate card of manifestation. So this is, you know, she's giving birth to something, you know, she's like pregnant, so she's like manifesting something. It's almost like analogous to this Wild Woman card, like the universe is calling it onto her to like be her free, a divine self, you know, because she has something special to offer the world here. And then we have the Hanged Man, which is a card of kind of stepping back and assessing a situation, because like something needs to change and you're not really sure. You're kind of taking a moment to kind of assess so that you can move forward in like the best possible way, which is interesting because that fell right under the Temperance card, which is also a card of just like you know, finding some sort of balance, and so that you can manifest a positive outcome. So this is sort of like contemplating what that would be, you know. Then underneath that we have the King of Wands, which this is a passionate, fiery king that's totally in his power, you know, and also has figured out how to channel his emotional energy into a desired outcome, you know. So like the manifester, total manifestation, like his power comes from how he channels that energy. And then we have the Seven of Wands, which is also a fire sign, a fiery, passionate and just kind of standing your ground, you know, like you know what you want and you're defending it, you know, because there might be energy around you that isn't in agreement with that, but you, despite that, are sticking up for what you want because, you know, it's your moment, you know. And then we have the Knight of Swords, which is a message of truth and clarity coming in. So it's crazy. Like, this King of Wands has, you know, he's in his power. He's manifesting something, which is his wish. And, you know, it's causing some sort of heartbreak. And then, you know, there's this Empress who's giving birth to something. And it's almost like she's breaking through whatever this stalemate was, whatever this blockage was, is somebody's fantasy of how things are supposed to be. And this Empress is having to stand her ground and defend that in order to break through this energy, in order for there to be progress. But, you know, she's in alignment, and so her arrow is it's gonna hit its mark. And ultimately, things are going to change, you know, like there's a new balance that's going to be struck because something's going to have to be sacrificed in order to achieve this. So somebody's going to be heartbroken over this, and somebody's going to get their wish. You know, like both of these things are happening at the same time. But whatever it is that's changing, there's a message of truth that's coming in about it. So it's just like it's coming in fast, and this change is like happening. So it's just, and this fell right under this card, which is sort of like change is about to happen. It's always darkest before the dawn, but whatever it is, it's about to go down, you know. So I'm going to go back to this deck, the Rider-Waite, and get 3 cards of guidance about how we're going to move through this big shift. Because, yeah, it's just like, it's almost like, you know, it's like everyone's got their 15 minutes, and it's like you can swim upstream, you know, when it's not your moment, and you can just hit all this resistance and ultimately not get the support of the universe, you know. But like they say in life, everything's about timing. So it's just sort of like, it's about picking your moment, because it's like when you can like be in alignment with the forces that are, you know, then you have all the power of the universe behind you, like, and you know, it's your moment to shine, you know. So it's just sort of like, it seems like in the case of this divine feminine, like there's resistance around, and whatever her truth is, it's going to be heartbreaking to someone, you know, which is why there's been resistance leading up to this, and why she's had to choose her moment carefully. But it seems like the message is that the moment has come, you know. This is the time. And so we get the Sun card, you know. So whatever this wish is that's being manifested, that's going to be heartbreaking to somebody, it's going to lead to ultimate happiness. So, you know, there's a baby, there's the sun, this is the card of happiness, fulfillment, family, you know. I mean, it kind of goes along with this whole story of the dynasty, you know, because it's just like, but the moment has had to be chosen carefully, because at the end of the day, it's going to break somebody's heart, you know. But because it's in line with the intention of the universe, you know, and nobody's taking an active role in you know, forcing this to happen. It's just time for it to happen. So like, you know, in stillness, like you have ultimate power, you know, because you're not going to encounter the resistance and be swimming upstream that you would have if you had tried to force an outcome, you know. It's just, the outcome is just happening because it's meant to, you know. Your arrow is going to hit the mark because it's just in alignment, you know. And so this is the Page of Pentacles. So it's sort of like a grounded offer in tangible reality. So it's, this to me kind of suggests that there's some evidence that whatever this shift is, the arrow that's going to hit its mark is surfacing in three-dimensional reality, you know, and some stalemate is being broken, you know. We're moving through whatever this resistance is in just the smallest baby step kind of way. And not, you know, not swimming upstream, again, just like by being in alignment. And then with this, you know, making a balanced move of like, that's been like contemplated, like there's some message of truth coming through, you know. So it's just sort of like the whole, it's always darkest before the dawn, and it's like the light is just starting to come up over the horizon, like the sun is like starting to rise. And then on top of that we get the Ace of Pentacles, which is a brand new beginning. It's a solid, stable, grounded offer. It could be like a job opportunity, but you know, something tangible, something in the three-dimensional world. And it could be like a financial offer, you know. So like, for example, maybe something that could trigger a change would be somebody's getting some job offer, you know, somewhere else, and it's like causing a whole situation to shift. And not necessarily because, you know, someone was trying to force the change, but just because, you know, they got this job offer and they're leaving town, and they're, you know, everything's just going to change because of that, you know. I mean, that's one example. You know, there's a lot of different ways that could happen, you know. Like someone could get some massive inheritance. It's just going to be like some financial windfall, and it kind of just turns everything on its head, you know, and allows someone to move through whatever resistance was blocking the evolution, you know. But like now is the moment, because you have the support of the universe now. So things are going to change. Okay, so I am going to the Yogic Path Tarot to get a final card to end the reading with. And this was the card on the bottom of the deck, and I got compelled to, I just felt like this was the one. So it's Kundalini. And I'm going to read it from the book because I just got this deck and I am still learning all the cards, but the artwork in this deck is amazing. It's totally inspiring. It's all by Daniel Noel, who's done the Star Child, the Work Your Light Oracle. She's done the Moon Child. A lot of decks that I really, really love. Okay, so here's the message for this card, Kundalini. It's primordial cosmic energy, serpent power. Kundalini is rising, the serpent-like energy that exists in the base of your spine. The Muladhara chakra has awoken. You may have noticed that you feel more spiritually aware than ever before. You are more sensitive to energies and quickly manifesting your thoughts. Your psychic abilities are rising, and you feel the flow of energy that vibrates in every being. Your heart is full of a deep compassion and desire to serve others, as you have a keen awareness of your purpose. This is Kundalini Rising. Stay grounded in this process. Connect to nature, exercise, journal, practice yoga. Through grounding, you'll be able to experience a beautiful and blissful Kundalini awakening that takes you exactly where you are meant to be. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, and it totally goes along with all these other messages, you know. It's just sort of like your arrow is going to hit the mark because you're in alignment with all that is. And this is going to spark some huge change. I mean, this rainbow is all about all of your chakras being in alignment, which is kind of like the whole message of Kundalini. You know, like when your chakras are in alignment, then you have this ultimate power because you are like in alignment with the universe, and you know, then the universe is going to call on you to be your ultimate true self, and this is going to have a positive impact on you and everyone you're connected to and the whole world. You know, I mean, that's what we're all here to do, you know. So that's a really beautiful message. And yeah, I think the divine feminine is like stepping into her power, ascending to another level of being, and the whole world's going to be better for it. So, a really beautiful message.